Kayla Harrison of American Top Team in South Florida, Coconut Creek, is a member of the innovative Professional Fighters League. How did you land with ATT?
Well, I mean, I did a lot of traveling. Once I decided to do MMA, it was pretty clear to me quickly that Boston, while it was the mecca for judo in the U.S. and I had the greatest coaches in the world there, it was going to be a little difficult to fulfill my potential as an MMA fighter. So I went to New Jersey and I spent time with Frankie Edgar's team and Mark Henry and Ricardo Almeida, and I went to Vegas to Extreme Couture and visited the UFC PI and did some training out there. And then I came here sort of as like the third time's the charm, I guess, and I just fell in love, you know, not only with the facility, but the coaches. I mean, I have the best coaches in the world, no offense to anyone else. And I think that the training partners, the environment, the team atmosphere, you know, it's like being a part of the U.S. Olympic team, but for MMA, kind of.
Well, have you ever been to South Florida before? Was there any transitioning that just goes with moving and traveling? You traveled around so much in competitions and different things.
Well, I moved to Boston when I was 16 by myself to train full-time for the Olympics, and I was there for 12 plus years. You know, I really had made it my home. That was where, you know, my surrogate family, my coaches, all of my friends are from. I still have my family in Ohio, but you know, when I'm all in, I'm all in. And I knew that I wanted to be the best at MMA, and I knew in order to do that, I had to train with the best. So literally a month after my visit here, I packed up my bags and I moved here, and I just bought a house a couple months ago, and I'm here to stay until my career is finished, at least.
You are a two-time Olympic gold medalist in judo. You're anchoring the first women's 155-pound division in MMA for the Professional Fighters League.
Yep.
How competitive are you? And when did that competitive drive start?
I think competitive is like an understatement at this point. I might be a psychopath. You know, I'm
just what the kids want to hear out there.
I mean, not in a creepy way. Just like, you know, I'm the 28-year-old that still races to the car and plays slug bug and like wants to win every Uno game, every Monopoly game, every session, every minute of every round of every sparring. You know. And I think it's not ever really something that was taught to me. It's just sort of it's my personality. It's who I am. You know, it's what makes me me. I think it's what makes me special is I just have this very internal, insatiable appetite to be the best, to be remembered, to be, I don't know. I just always want to be the best version of myself.
Was that how you were even when you were like 9, 10 years old?
Oh yeah, I was always like the center of attention, I mean, I remember my gym teachers were like, we had like a soccer session or something, and my gym teacher said to my mom, "Oh, it's so great you have her do so many sports, you know," and my mom said, she only does judo, what are you talking about? But I was just so competitive that I would learn it and I would get out there and I would just go and play with all my heart, from pretty much ever since I can remember.
Did you ever think then of trying another sport? It was judo.
I wish I had. Something a little easier on the body, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, what is though nowadays?
Make a little more money. There's not a lot of money in American judo, but no, you know, honestly, it was fate. I mean, I did dance and played t-ball, but when I was 6 years old, I went to my first judo class, and from the moment I stepped on the mat, you know, I don't know what it was about it, but the discipline of it, the martial art aspect of it, the mind body, the learning how to throw boys, all of it. I knew I didn't want to be a teacher or a lawyer or a doctor or a singer. I wanted to throw people, and I wanted to be the best in the world at it.
And that you are.
It was.
The PFL is the first organization to present MMA through a regular season, playoffs, championship format. It's broadcast on ESPN2, ESPN, and ESPN Deportes. Season 2 started May 9th, and it's continuing. What's it like for you to be a big part of this?
Well, I mean, it's just, first of all, it's an honor, you know, to be a part of the first ever 155-pound weight class for women. You know, that's shattering a ceiling a little bit. A lot of people in MMA, you know, they always said women will never do MMA in UFC, and they'll never be, you know, any depth, and they'll never be this, and they'll never be that, and they can't really compete. And now look, it's growing every day more and more and more. It's the fastest growing sport in the world. And that's a huge honor for me. But also to be a part of the Professional Fighters League. You know, this is, for me, it's a dream come true. Listen, I come from a sport background. I come from the Olympics. You know, it's the highest level of sport where it's all about respect and honor and dignity. And if you want to be the best, you have to win. You don't get a shot at the Olympic gold medal based on how much trash you talk or how pretty you are. You know, you get a shot based on what you've done on the mat. So when the Professional Fighters League said they're going to create a format that does just that in MMA, I said, where do I sign up? I mean, please, please, please let me be a part of this. And I think it's an amazing step. I think that it's going to change the game. And I'm just, like I said, I'm honored to be a part of it.
Coming from Judo, is this the transition that you wanted to make MMA? Because you saw what was happening with Ronda Rousey, Joanna, all these other women that are involved in it.
Yeah, I mean, I trained with Ronda. You know, she was my roommate and my teammate back in Boston during her Olympic career. I looked up to her growing up, and, you know, it was sort of like, I always had like this Ronda complex. Like anything Ronda did, I wanted to do. And I honestly never thought I would do MMA. I remember talking to her, and I'm a little bit of I guess I have a thin skin, kind of. Like, I take things kind of personally, and I'm a little bit more emotional. I'm not so thick-skinned when it comes to...
You have to be careful on social media then.
Oh my God.
My gosh, it's almost like you got to take a break from that at times.
I wish that I didn't have to be on it at all, to be honest. But she told me, listen, like, after Rio, I was sort of, you know, I was lost. I went through a bit of an post-Olympic depression. You know, I was at such a high, and I knew I was done with Judo. I was completely burnt out. I had accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish, and I was lost. I didn't know what to do. And she said, listen, if you're going to do this, like, you have to have a thick skin. You have to be ready. Not everyone is going to love you, Kayla, because that's my fault. Like, I just want everyone to like me.
How could they not like you, though?
Unless we're in the cage.
Unless they're in the cage. But sitting here and talking with you and watching you work out and seeing you in the cage, how could people not like you? Come on.
I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't have any enemies, so I guess that's a good thing. I think I have a couple of haters, but that's okay. But really, you know, I thought I loved Judo, and I do. I love that. That will always be my first love. But stepping inside of a cage, them locking the door behind you, and it being you and one other person, and it's about who wants it more and who's smarter and who's trained. Like, it's Judo on steroids, you know? It's like a human chess match on steroids. I always thought Judo was this crazy combat sport. Like, oh, it's a fight. I always used to say that. Judo's a fight. But I was so wrong. This is a fight, you know? This is really as close as it gets to, like, really testing your mettle against another human. So I couldn't be more in love, and I couldn't be happier doing what I do.
With the Professional Fighters League, it's the playoff qualifier now. So you're going to go against Morgan Fryer on July 11th, which will be on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus. How cool is it, though, that you're on ESPN2? You're on ESPN.
Right? It's so cool. I mean, when we announced that partnership, first of all, they were like, oh, we need you to come to Connecticut. We're making a big announcement. We're making the big announcement. And I was like, okay, great. What are we announcing? And they were like, oh, we didn't tell you? We're going to be on ESPN. I was like, what? How did you keep that secret from me? And they're like, well, Kayla, you have the biggest mouth in the whole league, so that's why we kept it from you. And I was like, okay, fair enough. But I mean, it's what every young athlete dreams of. You know, you want to be on SportsCenter, ESPN. You want it. That's the home of sports. So I'm pumped.
And the championship will be coming up. So I was
December 31st.
Yeah. I was gonna get into that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all right, because I was gonna ask. I should have asked it this way. So, Kayla, what are you planning to do on New Year's Eve?
Well, you know what I plan on doing on New Year's Eve. I plan on becoming a millionaire. Yeah, it's gonna be on New Year's Eve. It's gonna be back at Madison Square Garden. I mean, like, talk about fireworks. I got to compete. I got to fight. This past New Year's Eve, I fought. Oh my gosh, who did I fight?
But it was at MSG?
Yeah, I fought on the New Year's Eve card. It wasn't the regular season. It was just a one-off fight. Muriel Charneski, sorry, thank you. And I mean, it was just such an amazing atmosphere. Not just for me to get to fight and get that experience, but to see all of the guys win. You know, these guys became millionaires that night, and they were realizing dreams. So for me, it was almost like when I went to the Beijing Olympics and I watched Rhonda. You know, I watched her win her bronze medal, and I was like, holy cow, if she can do it, I can do it. And 3 guys from ATT won that night. So I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. And it really fired me up for this season.
And obviously, how are you getting ready for Morgan and this playoff quarterfinal? It's so much different because now it's like lose and that's it. One and you're done.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's a little more pressure, but realistically not, because I'm my own toughest critic and I put, you know, the world on my shoulders every day. I expect perfection and nothing less, which is sometimes not the best thing. But listen, this is sport. This is, you know, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And I know what it feels like to lose. I've lost many times in my judo career. And that sting and that you feel uncomfortable in your own skin. I hate losing more than pretty much anything in the whole world. So I do everything in my power to make sure that I'm as prepared as possible when fight day comes, you know? And that means that on my worst day, I have to be able to beat the best. So that means I train when I'm sick. That means I train when I'm tired. That means, you know, I train when I've got bumps and bruises and I don't feel like it. And that means I don't hit the snooze button and I get out of bed and I do the extra mile and I go the extra distance and, you know, do the extra push-ups and eat right. And I mean, it's, you know, one of my favorite sayings about the Olympics is it's not every 4 years, it's every day. And that's what this is. You know, this is my life. This is my legacy. This is my passion. So I treat that with the utmost respect and the utmost care, and no one's going to stop me.
You've been on such a ride, and it's been a successful one. So do you remember the last time you had to encounter defeat?
Yes.
And go through that? And when that happens, is it like, everybody stay away from Kayla and just let her
Do you want to hear the story of the last time I lost? It was February of 2016. It was at the Paris Grand Slam. And the funny thing is, it happened to me twice. It happened both in 2012 and in 2016. My coach, Jimmy, said to me, listen, we're going to treat this as a dry run for the Olympics. This is just far enough out. You've been training. You're a little bit peaked. I want you to treat this as if it's the Olympics. So.
And in 2012, you won your first gold medal. First American to win a gold medal in judo.
Yep.
And now you're in preparation for 2016 to try to defend your title.
So listen to this. The exact same thing happened at the exact same tournament with the exact same girl in 2012 and in 2016. So I go out and I'm on fire. I mean, I'm just wiping through the competition. I beat a girl I had never beaten before. You know, threw her all over the place. I'm in the finals and I face my rival, the Brazilian, Mayra Aguiar. And in 2012, she beat me. And in 2016, which is my last loss, she beat me. She threw me in about a minute and a half for Ippon, which is like the equivalent of a knockout in boxing. So, needless to say, I was devastated. You know, I considered it like the Olympics, and I had never won Paris. It's the only tournament I've never won on the judo circuit. And I was heartbroken, but you know what? It was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I got out of bed that next morning. It was freezing cold in Paris. I went for a run. I went to the training camp. I did every single round. I didn't talk to anyone for probably 2 weeks, and I didn't skip a workout or a practice or a session or anything from that moment until the moment of the Olympics. And every day I thought about that loss, and I thought about that feeling in the pit of my stomach, and I said, Kayla, you cannot let this happen in Rio. You cannot, no matter what, you have to know that you gave it 100% everything. And I went to the Olympics and I won both times. So it was good for me, but failure has always been my fuel. It's always been something that sort of keeps me up at night. And I mean, I literally still watch that match every couple months. It's sickening.
It's great though to see, it is really great to see that from that, you still were able to go on and achieve your goal.
Totally.
And use that to fuel you, which is incredible, because then you won your second Olympic gold medal.
Listen, loss is part of life. I think it's a part of, especially sports emulate life. So it's good that we have losses and we have things that we have to overcome. But fortunately for me, I feel like I've done a lot of losing and I've had to overcome a lot in my life. And I think all of that's behind me. I know that a loss may come someday, but my goal is to go down as one of the best to ever do it, to be undefeated, to be one of the best combat sport athletes of all time, and to do it my way.
And the MMA way is turning to your way. When you go to judo in the Olympics and what you're able to do there, now we'll go to the other side of the coin. So you win your second Olympic medal. How do you relax then? How do you celebrate? Do you celebrate at all? Even the first medal, the second medal, was there any time to reflect with family and friends and just do something?
After London, I celebrated a lot. Basically what happens is you go to drug testing, you go to a press conference, you get your medal, you go to a press conference with all the other medalists, and then you get in a little black car, and NBC basically owns you for that night. Then after all that's done, it's usually 1 a.m. by the time you're finished with all of your interviews and this show and that show and all of that. You go to the USA House, and that's where all of your friends and family and training partners and doctors and coaches are all waiting for you, and they celebrate with you. And both times it was such an amazing experience. For me, though, after Rio, I couldn't sleep that night. I was like, almost panicked. Like, I was just like, oh my God, what now, what now, what now? Like, and my boyfriend at the time said to me, Kayla, like, listen, you need to enjoy this. Like, you just reached your goal. You just accomplished it. Like, take this moment, soak it up. Like, you're allowed to relax. You're allowed to hit the snooze button now. You're allowed to wear sweatpants and, go to Disney and eat fat foods and
have
drink
pizza.
a beer and eat
have
pizza.
a pizza.
Yeah. So I did a lot of that. A little too much, probably. And then I got right back into training. And honestly, this is when I'm happiest, when I'm doing what I love, when I'm sweaty and, training with people. And I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but I love what I do. Even like, I work hard, but I like to have fun while I do it. So